Thank you for that. So to start, what is LifeMoonset and why this name? Basically, this because we offer sustainable mobility options beyond the private car in the hours where the moon sets during the night. For us at Wiener Linien, this is specifically for the public transport staff, so the ones that stop or start operating trams, buses, or underground lines. This is the one explanation for this name, but of course, as any good project, we have also a long acronym, but I spare you to read it out in full. In a nutshell, LifeMoonset is a 3-year project, and in its heart there are 1-year pilots in the cities of Viena, Lisbon, and Ruse. And the pilots are demand-responsive night shuttles. The total budget of the project is 2.9 million. We at Wiener Linien are the coordinators, and there are 5 more beneficiaries. Namely, Municipal Transport Ruse for the pilot in Ruse, then Transporte Metropolitanos de Lisboa for the pilot in Lisbon, and Aeroportos de Portugal, also for the pilot in Lisbon, and additionally also for the communication work. We have then VIA for the software for the DRT services, and they are also doing an environmental impact evaluation, and the University of Innsbruck, which contributes to the project with mobility behavior research, which informs our service design. So some of those project partners will give you some insights today. This brings me to the agenda. Katharina will start to give you some insights in why are we doing this project. Then Jonathan will take over and tell you a bit of the Vienna pilot, and then Rita for the pilot in Lisbon. Alexander then will give you a short outlook at the launch of the pilot in Ruse. And finally, then Markus gives us some insights into mobility behavior change and how this informed our pilots. Then, of course, there will be enough time for your questions. We are really looking forward to it. And we organized the Q&A so that you are very welcome to write your questions throughout the whole webinar in the chat. And if they are clarification questions, I will address this straight away after the presentations. But in general, I will take them at the end of the webinar. With this, I'm finished with the general introduction. Enjoy the webinar, and I hand over to Katharina.
Okay, so good morning to everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, because we have 3 time slots here from Bulgaria, Austria, and Portugal, so we have to manage all these 3 time slots. I'm trying to, maybe you could pass the slide, because I'm not I'm not available to pass the slide. If you could, please. Okay, thank you. So my name is Catarina Marcelino. I'm from TML. TML is an enterprise owned by the Lisbon metropolitan area, and we manage the ticketing system, the fare system in the metropolitan area, and also buses, intermunicipal buses. And we went to this project and to this challenge because we consider that solutions for night time workers are something very important, are something that every city and every metropolitan area are studying, are developing, are having projects so they can build solutions. And nighttime workers usually don't have much mobility options. They don't have public transport, don't usually not always they work all night, so they need specific solutions. Most of them, and that's our conclusion from the mobility studies and inquiries that we've done, most of them use private cars to go to work. They have a lot of barriers, and they have a lot of restrictions in accessing jobs and services. What we've been told by different enterprises is that people want to work there, but they don't have a private car solution, so they don't work. So it's a restriction, the mobility for nighttime workers. And that is something that we need to work. Could you please pass? So our project, as Miriam has already said, we want to have a better mobility for all. We want to have a more sustainable, so we want that people travel more sustainably with less gas emissions, everything, but also we want people to have better access to their jobs. So that is something very important that we are working on this project. Please pass. So what are we doing in this project? We are working with 3 cities, Ruse, Vienna, and Lisbon, in 3 completely different parts of Europe. And we are testing solutions, nighttime solutions for these 3 cities and for these 3 pilots that we are working now. 2 of the pilots have already started. They will be presented, Lisbon and Vienna. They are now in the beginning, in the first stage, but are already working. And the last pilot in Ruse will be active by the end of this year, but they will talk about it more. So what we want is to test solutions, nighttime solutions. We are using digital tools, an application for these workers, for Ruse and for Lisbon, that enables them with solutions, with on-demand solutions. We are also working, as a manager for the public transport contracts, we are also watching what is happening with these solutions, if people are participating, how is the demand and everything, so we can learn in our network. In the case of Lisbon, we manage the public transport network that also serves the airport of Lisbon. That's the pilot in Lisbon. So for us, it's very important to have this knowledge, how it's going, how people participate, where do we have more needs. So if we can, in the future, adapt our network. And most important in this project, always, we are sharing results for replication and for other cities to understand and to know how is it working, if we could learn with each other. From my side, it's everything. Now I'll pass the word to Jonathan from Wiener Linien in Vienna. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Katharina. My name is Jonathan Rhodes. I'm working with Wiener Linien, and I'm in charge of the service design of our shuttle projects and also the operations right now. And I will guide you through a quick overview of the Vienna pilot and what we're doing so far. So our shuttle is actually called WLIMO. It is a local acronym, basically invented by our company it stands for Wiener Linien Limousine. It is targeted towards our employees on our locations. It's an exclusive shuttle for our employees. It launched on February 2nd. It is a night service between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. We are addressing at least 130 people who live in our service area, which I will show you later. And operations are being held by 2 electric vans. And the booking is made exclusively through the WLIMO app, which is powered by VIA, which we also showcase you later. So this is our service area. It basically covers the southern part of Vienna. It is still a very populous area within the city limit, but it also covers some major suburbs in the southern corridor of the city. Some of you, if you might be familiar with the area, know that there are a lot of people who are actually commuting each day into the city to work there. The challenges, of course, is the nighttime, because public transport is very limited. There are not many offers available, so of course our shuttle comes in very handy. Our service is laid out currently in scenario 1, where we deployed a virtual stop every 500 meters within the service area. So people are not picked up from home, they are navigated to a virtual stop on the app, where they will board the shuttle and go to their desired work location, which is either the tram depot in Favoriten, the bus garage in Rackstraße, or another bus garage which is specialized for electric vehicles in Siebenhirten. We would consider a second scenario where pickup and drop-off is actually at their home address. Of course, that may be less efficient, but it's something we will looking into, and also explore the option in introducing a fee. But currently, we're not anywhere there yet. About our app and our operations. So this is how our app looks like. It's basically, if you are familiar with VIA software, it is their white label app branded with our logos and colors, and also, of course, is limited to our offering. In the area, despite only serving theoretically roughly 130 people, we have over 370 accounts created. We have more than 140 people who have completed at least one ride. We have in total since February 2nd, more than 860 completed trips. We have a noticeably returning user base, which is growing over time. And our current pooling rate is 36%, and we roughly have 10 plus rides per day. A few words from our operator, maybe. So our shuttle is being driven by Wiener Lokalbahnen, which is actually a sister company. We share the same parent company, which is Wiener Stadtwerke. They provide the staff and the vehicles. And we have 2 Mercedes eVito vans carrying up to 7 passengers per vehicle. We have a 24/7 control center, so we're constantly monitoring who's booking a ride, are the shifts correct, is everything dispositioned correctly. Also, we have shift regulations. I mean, working conditions in Austria are tough, of course. Our drivers can have a maximum of 9-hour shift, and they need to have a mandatory 30-minute break after 4 hours of service, which of course also was a challenge, but we solved that by deploying the vehicles 30 minutes apart. So basically, during service hours, USDs have 1 vehicle available. And in the graph below, you can actually already see our growing user base. The dark blue, I'm not sure how well you can see it, is the returning user base. So you can see that actually there's a significant amount of people who tried the service and are actually coming back and using the service again. And yeah, don't be fooled by the last bar there. It's just a weekly roundup, and it's not a complete week in May as of from this data. What are our challenges? So we have, I basically categorize them in primary, secondary, and no major issues. So basically, I mean, we have a lot of requests for the rides, but there is still a high share of unaccepted proposal. That basically means that people are looking for a ride, they get an offer, but they reject it. We also have a significant share of cancellations. It's still a thing. Basically, cancellations are open all the time. You can also cancel last minute. For operations, that simply means at least it's better for us to know if someone will not show up than having a no-show. Then secondary challenges are basically directional imbalances. You can see that on the graph to the right, which is our geographical demand. And basically the rule is you can go from any virtual stop within the main zone to one of the 3 depots. So the most popular route is going from your home location to the garage Rackstraße. Second most popular option is the other way around, basically going from Rackstraße to the Hauptzone. it basically correlates with the number of people who actually work there. The Rackstraße is a very big bus garage. It's also connected with Siebenhirten, so basically they share the same staff because they work in the same sector. Bahnhof Favoriten is, as you can see in the graph, also a bit the odd one out. It's a bit tricky because it's a tram depot, so it's different staff, and most of our staff start at one location and end at a different location. So since we only serve one location as of right now, the demand is not so high. You have the typical efficiency trade-offs. So of course, if a ride is pooled, that means the trip may take longer because you have to calculate in detours. And no issues as of right now is capacity. So basically, a lot of rides can actually be proposed. So if people request a ride, they actually can get it. But there's still, of course, when the demand is higher, then you cannot, the vehicle might not be there at the right time for you to be picked up. So, but that is less than 2% as of right now. Service quality is very good. You can even rate our trips in the app, and we got a solid 4.9 out of 5-star rating. And on operational performance, maybe we actually are lucky to see that more rides are actually early than late. We had a lot of talks with Via about this because the routing is quite generous, of course. And we had to tweak a bit because our drivers from the Lokalbahn are actually quite fast. But it works well. We tweaked it, and at least no one is late. So it's, of course, always better early than late. That was everything from the Vienna pilot. And I would hand over to Rita if she's here, or Katarina if she's not here.
Well, yeah.
Happy to take over.
Thank you so much. I'll be covering for Rita. She couldn't come today. So hello, I'm Catarina. I work for Aeroportos de Portugal. And I have been part of this project since a very early stage, although I have been more involved now that the pilot started. Sorry. So our pilot, the app we use is called MOONSET LIS. It's employee nighttime on-demand shuttle for workers in the airport perimeter whose companies have signed the protocol. So unlike Vienna, our pilot extends to people to employees of other companies. And I'm sorry, I think something changed. So yeah, employees from other companies can also participate in the project if they sign these protocols. I'll go back to it later. We launched on February 23rd of February, and we operate from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. We have now 4 electric powered vans, but I will go to 3 because we don't have as much demand as we wanted to have. And as I said, the MOONSET LIS app is the name of the app we used, and the trips are paid. The service area is in the parishes you can see in this picture. It goes all the way to the north of the airport. The pickup and drop-off are within the service area. Are in bus stops, and in the airport perimeter we have 8 stops, 11 in total, if we count both sides. As I was saying, the trips are paid, so it has 2 billing sources. The first one is with the company itself. So if a company wants to be part of the project, they have to sign a protocol with us where they say that they will pay 1.96 euros per trip per employee, and the employee will pay another 1 euro per trip when they get to to the van. If the company prefers, they can also pay 2.96, and in that case, the employee will not have to pay anything when they get in the van. So here is our MOONSET LIS app. In here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bar that says employer codes. So that's how we know who are the employers or from which company are the employees that have been using the trip, so that we can, in the end of the month, tell the company how many users did they have. Our operation is done by a service provider, Transdev. As I said, we have 3 vans. We started with, well, we still have 4, but we'll go to 3 due to low demand. The vans are the same as in Vienna, are up to 7 passengers. And we also have a call center during the service hours, and this call center will be extended to a 23-hour service. So some of the results, we have now 5 protocol signed. So we are 6 companies involved in the MOONSET LIS. We have more than 260 accounts created. Only 20% have requested a ride, and only 14% have completed a ride. We have now more than 370 rides completed, and the retention and repeat usage have been increasing over time. So in here you have the first months where we didn't have a lot of protocol signs, so we didn't have a lot of communication, and since we started communicating to every stakeholder of every company that signed the protocol, we had a big increase in usage. Our main challenges, primarily, we had a difficult to reach potential users across the different companies. So because this is not just one company, we have to have focal points in every company that signs the protocol, and for that reason we had a lower adherence that we expected. Our secondary challenges, just like Vienna, we had an efficiency trade-offs in pooled routing, but have been taken care of. We had a lot of requests to increase the coverage area because we only go to those 3 parishes, and there are a lot of people that work away from the airports. We had a few complaints regarding the pickup location because our the diameter of the pickup was too big, so and it was during the night, so sometimes the user could not find the van, and we had no major issues. In our rider acceptance rates was 85%. Our service quality is 4.8 to 5 stars, and our operational performance, we only had 3% of the rides were completed late or very late, and I must say only 1% was very late. Yeah, and now I pass.
And as a third pilot, we have Ruse. Ruse is a considerably smaller city than the other 2 in Bulgaria, and this was deliberately chosen so to have 3 different contexts spread all over Europe. Also, Ruse will only start in some months later, and this was also a deliberate choice in order to allow for learning. Ruse, it's the municipal transport of Ruse is the organization operating the service, so not only hosting the pilot, but also actually operating the service with their own vehicles. And another interesting difference in Ruse is that in the first stage, they will offer the service for their employees, which are similar to Vienna, also workers of nighttime, staff of public transport. But in a second step, they will extend it to more companies. So this is for the moment all of Ruse, because it's still it's going to be launched. As there are at the moment no questions yet, I will hand over to Markus for the last bit of insights, namely insights about on mobility behavior change and how this informed our the design of our service, as well as how it informs the continuous adaptation of our pilots.
Hello, thank you, Miriam. Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Markus Meiler. I'm a professor for transport planning at the University of Innsbruck, and we contribute to the project with our Center for Mobility Change. This is a mobility lab which works on ways how mobility behavior can be changed sustainably for the future. It's funded by the Austrian Ministry of Transport. And we do this together with our partners in the Center for Mobility Change, which is the Austrian Institute of Technology and Harry Consult. And we try to support the project with our knowledge, with our experience about how can we make people use the services that we provide. So actually, why should people change their behavior and use the Moonset shuttles? We have heard already that there are some good reasons why we should also provide these nighttime shuttles. And they already address some personal benefits that people might have when using the shuttles. But there are two more that I've added that may also be interested for companies as an employer, because if employer care for better mobility options, normally they increase the job satisfaction and the loyalty of the employees and have better chances to recruit people and to attract talent to their companies. So that is two another reasons why we should really try to have this change on behavior. But as we all know, it's not easy to change behavior. People stick to their behavior. It's always difficult to change it. We know it from different situations in our life. And the reason behind it is always that even if you're in a situation where you're not happy, where the situation is not really comfortable for you, you are always hesitating in changing because the other situation is unknown. That could be worse. You are never sure if it really works out well. And people have this fear of loss, that the expected benefits, they have to be twice as high as expected disadvantages, and that keeps them away from changing their behavior. So what you need for this behavioral change normally is some kind of stimulus, some kind of occasion that is motivating you to think about other options for your behavior. That is always easy if, for instance, you change your employment and you're a new employee in a new situation. But we also want, of course, address people who are already have a stable mobility behavior. And even in these groups, there are differences. There are some people who are easier, for whom it is easier to change the behavior because of their attitudes or also the circumstances, and it's more difficult for others. So what we do is we look at different target groups of change to see how they can be addressed, and that is one thing why we do service at the beginning or even before the pilot starts, with questionnaires to potential users to learn more about their attitudes, more about their circumstances, and more about the way they travel. And of course, this service will be repeated during the pilot phase and after the pilot phase, so that we can also have evaluation and better chances to improve also during the pilot phase the service quality. And if we look at how what is important, what are the basics for behavior and behavioral change, we see two things. And the one thing that is what we call the basis, and the other thing, that is what we call the process. So what is the basis? Actually, it's 3 different basic conditions that you need to have for any kind of behavior. You have to have the opportunity, you have to have the ability, and you have to have the motivation. Or you could put it in the 3 questions. Is there an alternative question for my behavior? Am I able to use it? And do I want to use it? And only if you will answer, or if somebody will answer these 3 questions with yes, there will be a change in behavior. So we have to think about these three basic conditions. And we also know that changing behavior is always a process. So if you have, if you're in a situation, at the beginning, you have to be informed that there is an alternative. You have to be, you have to get this information. You have to hear it. You have to see it. You have to recognize that this information is relevant for you. You have to agree and have the intention to try it out. And if you try it out, you have an experience. And only if this experience is positive, if you see an advantage or you gain something, then you will keep this new this new behavior, and it will become your new routine. And that is important, that because that in this process you have to bring people from an understanding to a change, and you can lose them in any step if you don't have the right measures and the right answers for the people. And as I said before, you always have to think and act in target groups, because not all people are the same. So just to put it in an example, this theory, if you want to make people who are at the moment currently using car to regular public transport users, they have to have the information about services and fares. If they have information shortage, there will not be a chance to get in the next step. Then, of course, there has to be a fair comparison of the alternatives. There are, of course, some people have stereotypes, some prejudice, and they will not really have this fair comparison. And even if it turns out that could be an option, you still try to justify your behavior. You say, okay, but it's still right that I am using the car because of that reasons. So that is some things of excuses. We know this from different parts of our lives. And if you try it out, of course, there has to be good performance. If there are shortcomings, you will lose the people. You have to avoid this to make them, to have them convicted and public transport users, because, as I said before, they have to have an advantage and they have to have a gain with this new service. Otherwise, they will not stick to it. So how can we now use this theory? How can we apply this framework to make people use the MOONSET shuttles? So with the shuttle, we have created the opportunity to have the shuttles with the service design. And on the other hand, of course, you have always think about the alternative, which is car use, where, for instance, parking is a key element of car use. You have to have the ability. So we have, of course, a good tool to book and inform people about the offer, about the service policies. The fares also are a barrier. So that also is, how easy is it also to pay? That is something which is important. But we have created all this. I think that is one thing that we already have implemented. And now everything is about motivation. And motivation means, of course, marketing. You have to have campaigns, you have to have promotions, you have to have role models, and you can use all kinds of nudging elements. So make the right framing. So give to show the benefits, to show that others are also doing it, show that it's a goal that you can achieve together and make visible what you achieve. And of course, you have to consider what defaults you have in your offers about fairness and awareness. That are also very important criteria you have to keep in mind. And as I said before, you also have to think about the target groups. It's not easy to convince everybody right from the beginning. So it's very, very interesting just to start with people for whom it's easier to change. As I said, attitude, abilities, or also if they have a public transport at daytime available, will be, of course, also crucial if they use it at nighttime. Then you can probably achieve a critical mass and activate a critical mass with positive experiences that will be given from one to the other. So you have testimonials that tell others that that is really a good service that will really help. And then, of course, you can use monetary and non-monetary motivation, gamification, rewarding, awarding. So everything that is possible just to make people motivated to use it. And at the end, it's a joint effort for success of all the companies that are engaged in this project. So that is the theory behind the change, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have one.
Yeah, thank you, Markus. So I guess this was now a lot of information, and to make it a bit easier to process it, we will now show you our project film, and this takes 4 minutes, and during this you have the possibility to ask questions in the chat, and afterwards we will go to the Q&A session.
Perfect. I've seen one question already raised by Stefan, and it's already answered in the chat. So the question was, can you see a change in bookings or rides since the recent price increases for gasoline due to the attack on Iran? And Jonathan already answered it, that there is an increase in demand, but he personally would not link it to the gas prices. So the share of returning passengers are also growing. So these are very good indicators right now.
Yeah, thank you for that. Konstantin, Jonathan, and Stefan. And yeah, feel free to pose more questions. In the meanwhile, the film. Okay, so now it's really the time to hand over to all of our participants of the webinar. We have one more comment and one more question as for now in the chat. Please still feel free to add, but also feel free to raise your hand, and you can also ask your question orally. So the comment is that at the Seixal Municipal Council, it's also too early to understand, and at the moment not clear if there is any increase in the use of public transport to the conflict, and also that it might even be problematic if there's a too high increase, because then already now they have a demand that exceeds supply. So this is one more comment on the answer on the question, previous question, and then another question is, how would you measure the demand, and are you satisfied with the outcome so far? So I would hand over this question to Jennifer as well as Katharina to answer for the two pilots.
Maybe I'll start. I was just about to actually answer the question in writing, but I think that's a bit easier.
Yeah.
Well, I would say a way to measure demand is maybe the amount of people who actually use the shuttle. I mentioned briefly before that roughly 130 people live in the area. I mean, that census data that is, of course, a bit older, and our company was growing, and this number always changes. But we have more than 140 people, individual people who at least booked one ride. That means there are most likely also people from outside the area who would still go into the area to book a shuttle. We see it in the numbers, it's growing over time. We have a very high number of people who are returning, so they're not just trying it out and leave the service, but they're actually taking the shuttle again. Our feedback is very positive. Even the staff from our operator is saying they like it. The people accept it very, very much and think it's a good service. So I would say it's a very I'm very happy with the outcome. I see a lot of potential, of course, with the tram depot. It's not so good yet, but maybe if we talk about expanding services, the service to another depot in the tram area, maybe that could also change for the better.
Thank you for that, Katharina. How about the satisfaction in Lisbon?
Maybe because we have
any
a problem.
Any other colleague from the pilot?
I don't know if you saw it, but we have two Catharinas in Lisbon, so we always stop and think, what are you talking with? I can answer from TML's part, although is that to ask Catarina Silva said in the first month we didn't have any users, so we are getting a little bit worried. But the situation in Lisbon is a little bit different because we are working with the largest and the biggest area that employs people. It's the airport of Lisbon, with all the enterprises connected. It employs more than 20,000 people. So it's many people, many workers, many companies. And we've been working and talking, having workshops with all of them now, and we are still working with them. We talked with the enterprises. Now we've been having also workshops with the workers, so we explain what is the project, how they can use it, and I think we've been increasing. I think we've had a change here. The first challenge, as it was said, was to put all companies aboard, explain what's the project. They had to see the project. I think that was something very important for them, was to see the project working. And we've done also a mobility inquiry. And in the mobility inquiry, most of people that worked in the airport, they live in the parishes in the north of the airport, and that was the results of the inquiry. As we are seeing now from the reality, is that we've had a change due to the prices of houses in where people live in the metropolitan area of Lisbon, and what we are taking from the meetings with the companies is that we have a lot of people from many other areas of the metropolitan areas. We have the prices for housing are very, very high in Lisbon, so people are living each time more far away from the city, and the airport of Lisbon is in the center of the metropolitan area. So we are now seeing this change. We are getting more companies. That's the work we are doing, and as it was said, and we are thinking if we should enlarge the project, but we need to stabilize it. I think that's a very big challenge that we have, and it's step by step. I think that's a little bit. I don't know if Ana and Catarina Silva wants to add anything on this.
Maybe additionally, a question. Stefan asked if you can elaborate a bit more on how you find companies. I think this you addressed this question. You are doing workshops with them, like going really in personal contact. And another question from Stefan is how some companies pay for the complete ride, some only a part. Is this the case? And does this make a big difference in how often the persons actually take a shuttle? Can you say something on this?
Yeah, well, I don't think it makes a big difference. And so far, even the employees that have to pay €1, they do it. They don't really mind, and they still think it's a very cheap price for the trip. Does this make a big? No, actually no. But also the companies that pay for their employees, they don't have as many employees that live in those areas, so it's very hard to compare the amount of people that pay for it from the amount of people that don't pay for it. That's it from my side.
It's not a big issue if it's like quite limited. So we at the moment have the service for free, but like more not yet proved feedback, but feedback we got from our shuttles said he asked the users, and they all said, like, as long as it's cost something like €4 or something like this, it would be no problem to pay, because they are so satisfied and so happy with this service. It's a real improvement of the situation to go to work. So next question is, how flexible is the system in handling unpredictable demand, and what early feedback has been collected from users? Whoever from the pilot areas wants to start.
Maybe I can start from I can always talk from the service perspective, of course. We can't really say that the demand is like super unpredictable, because a small detail, the booking phase is closed 1 day prior to the night shift. So basically, we already know a day in advance how many people will actually be on the rides. Basically, I mean, I don't know if someone from VSCN wants to further elaborate on that, but when, of course, someone books a ride and someone else wants to book a ride at a similar time, if they are close by and the route makes sense, of course they can join, and then the ride gets pooled, and the rider will have a detour. If if both of our vehicles are in a completely different area, of course, the ride will be rejected because the vehicle cannot be there in that 20-minute time slot we have. That case hasn't happened too often. It was roughly 2% of all rides. That's simply because we could say in that perspective in a sweet spot. We have good demand, but the demand is just good enough that most people who actually want a ride still get a ride. And the pooling rate is, 36%, I said before. It's mostly 2 or 3 people in the car, rarely ever more. Of course, from a capacity perspective, you can always say that it could be more. But yeah, as of feedback, the only feedback we had is, of course, that people don't notice immediately, even though we explain it on posters and on internet, that you have to walk to a virtual stop. You're not being picked up at your house. That people not always got the message quite correctly, and the app shows the whole route. So you type in your home address or your place of location and your destination address or point of interest. And it's like a route on any mobility app. It guides you to the next stop. You walk there, the shuttle will pick you up there and drive you to your desired destination. But people did not see that people had to walk to their stop. Some were not so happy about that, but I mean, they got the message and understand how it works. And of course, the feedback is now turned into positive feedback, basically.
Anyone from Lisbon wants to add, or should we move to another question?
I can only say that the price, of course, the price is important, but it's in comparison to an Uber, it will be always more cheaper. So, and it's a service that goes to people's homes. So when they don't have an alternative, this service is amazing for our experience and from the testimonials that we recovered from people. It's really an amazing way to go to home when they don't have an alternative, an efficient alternative.
Magda?
Just to complete the sentence from Filipa, as she referred to the Uber, here we are talking about a service that is provided by a supplier contracted by ANA. So the risk is really lower comparing to an unknown driver. We have a lot of women, for example, using our system, so our service, and it's very positive, because if you think that we have a lot of in our case in Lisbon Airport we have the two major companies that are in our protocol are handling agents. So we have, for example, people that work at check-ins and boardings and so on, and often they have to dress with their uniform and shoes from their uniform, and this is a factor that is really important from them to be secure. I believe that besides the part of ecological, being electrical, the part of being secure is really important.
Question addressed to Markus. What was the crucial price stated in the questionnaire?
Yeah, we had some conversation in the chat because Stefan asked if the price is not that important, as the convenience is more important. I think what we experience, we have this interviews, and we have also a choice experiment where we try different solutions and see how people react on these solutions. And what we know is, of course, price is more important before you experience the convenience. if you're not aware of the convenience, you are not willing to pay as much as if you already have the chance to use the service, and you see the service is really a high quality, and you see that the quality in the ratings, I think 4.9 and 4.8 of 5 shows the quality, and then people become more willing to pay than they would be in the experiment. That is, I think, why it is so important to have this pilot phase in this project, because as we know, if people have to change behavior, you have to really try to have the barrier as low as possible to get them use it, to get used to it, and experience the advantages. And I think that is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Markus. Small addition to this comment, what do you think, like, it was convenient? I think here we have a special case that we are working with nighttime workers. So could you say, like, two more words on what was or is the situation, because it's special when you work in nighttime, and what was the main reasons why they are using this service? So how specifically this changed it, and what pushed them to use the service? Jonathan, what do you think? It was, yeah, what is the specific case for our, that we are providing the service for nighttime workers?
The case is simple that there's very limited alternatives for most people. So of course, especially if you live on the countryside, public transport is already very rare. You don't really have any other options. And of course, if you have a car, it's very convenient to take the car. I believe the questionnaire also showed that, of course, if you use a car, you're less likely to use the shuttle. But it's there, it's an alternative. It's extremely useful for people who do not have an alternative, and it helps a lot of people getting to work.
Yeah, and I think in Vienna we have the case that, especially in the cold period of the year, people said it's really more convenient because you need to go to work in the dark, and also in the cold during the night. And also people in our case do oftentimes start at one depot or garage, but end their shift in another one. So this is one difficulty that have especially the staff of public transport, and what we can address with this service. So I guess this is also, at the one hand, what makes the service so convenient, but at the other, still we see that people stick very much to the private cars. And as Markus outlined, it's that to get rid of this habit is really quite difficult, even if we have such a good offer, even costless in Vienna. So I think everyone presenting today, but of course also joining us and showing the interest in our project. Of course, also to the LIFE program, the European Commission, who makes this project, funds this project. And with this, we are at the end of the time. Thank you everyone for joining, and I wish you a nice afternoon.
Thank you. And maybe we can take a picture together at the end of today's webinar. It would be nice just to raise your hand or to shake your hand, and then we take a screenshot of you participating in today's webinar. So thank you for your attendance. Hello. And yes, I'm taking